I attempted to build this LEGO set without any instructions. Let me explain. This is the Creative Ninja Brick Box, which released earlier this year, 2023. It contains a total of 530 pieces and 6 minifigures. However, it's quite different from other Ninjago sets. You see, this set's a brick box, meaning it's a collection of pieces that are just meant to inspire your own builds. However, there are still instructions for LEGO's official builds if you want to build those. When LEGO sent me the set earlier this year for review, I really only covered the official builds in the set and didn't get into the more creative aspect of it. But now, 5 months later, I want to take another look at this set and actually challenge myself with it. You see, at the back of the instruction booklet includes what LEGO calls inspiration builds. These are builds that LEGO designers made to inspire you to build your own things, however there's no instructions for them. Instead, they're just meant to be concepts, ideas for you to get inspired by. But I thought it would make for a fun video to try to build some of these builds myself without any instructions or anything. Just simply basing my build off of these low-resolution images at the back of the instructions. I decided I was going to be going for these 3 builds right here. You can see there's this giant dojo, this little car, and then a turret. Putting these together was definitely difficult to do, however I'm pretty happy with the result. Before we get to the actual build though, I'd like to real quick ask you guys to please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see another video on this set covering even more alternate builds. Either the other ones from the instructions, or if you'd like to see me make my own custom build using this set, not based on anything at all. If this video gets to 1,000 likes, I will make a sequel to it showcasing even more options with this set. But now, with all that being said, let's take a look at the build. So the image I was basing my build off of had a total of 3 different inspiration builds. So I'm gonna start off by taking a look at the main dojo in the center. So this building is big, and in fact significantly bigger than any of the official buildings in the set. And it's also just got some really wild shapes to it. You can see there's like this room that comes off to the side with the chain hanging down, there's a giant crane with a chain at the top. So let's take an up-close look at everything a little bit closer. I actually quite like the very front of the build right here. You can see the stones are all quite varied. It actually has a quite nice look to it. This one golden gate maybe seems a little bit out of place with everything, but I guess it does help contribute to the overall look. I really love these flaming pillars at the entrance. Those are a really cool touch. And then on the other side, there's a super tiny training course. You can see I've got Woo posed right here. And yeah, there's just 2 platforms to jump on, and on the top platform there's a bit of tea. I think in terms of translating this from the image, I'm like pretty confident this is exactly how it's supposed to be. Comparing it to what we see in the instructions, this feels pretty one-to-one. Now the ground floor of the building that you can see I have Nia standing inside is very similar to the official build of the big building in the main set, with just like these brown and red pillars and the white walls. Unfortunately, there's no flags hanging down like it has in the official sets because the flags are used elsewhere in the build. And I didn't include any interior here because I couldn't see any of that from the image. Of course, with the extra pieces in the set, you could add like accessories in here, but I was trying to base my build just off of what I saw in the image. But then when we move up to the second level, things start to get a little bit more confusing. You can see this is where our very first green roof is. Now these green roofs are all over the official build, and you can see in the image and the instructions, yeah, there's a total of 3 of them. One in this lower level right here, that's the one we're taking a look at right now, but then one more up here and then another up here. And this sort of implies there should be a total of 12 golden studs, right? 4 on this roof, 4 right here. You can see a total of 3 of them, and then you can see all 4 up here, so that would add up to 12 total. However, there just isn't enough golden studs that come in this set to actually do that, so as such, I actually had to leave them off the back of this roof section right here. Additionally, the side of this roof looks ugly. I could not figure out for the life of me how this was supposed to go, because there really is limited pieces to make up the roof sections in these sets, and most of them are used here, here, and here. But you can see in the official image, you can't really see much of what those white pieces are, just that there's maybe a little bit of a slope to them. And these were really the only white slope pieces I had left after using all the pieces that I knew where they went. So yeah, that looks ugly, but I think that is the way it's supposed to be done. So yeah, definitely not the biggest fan of how this section turned out. This room at the center is perfectly fine. I mean, you have more of those white walls, little balcony for a minifigure to look off, but there's really not much else there. But then when we get to the section on the side, things start to get interesting. So this is like a little blacksmith shop, and I really love the idea behind this part of the build. I don't love the way I have it connected, but again, from the instructions, I think it's correct. Like, having this plate hang off like that does not look the best. And those 2x4 gray bricks feel really out of place up here. But yeah, once again, looking at the official image, that seems correct. You can see those 2 gray bricks right there. So I don't think there was a better way to do that. Actually, on top right here, though, you do have a little blacksmith shop, and I quite like this build. You can see there's like Thor's hammer right here just to be a blacksmith hammer, and 2 golden swords that hold this flame in the center. So you can have your characters come over here and actually create weapons on the fire. I think that's so much fun. And it's genuinely done quite well. Now, is it better than the official blacksmith shop and the official build for this set? I don't know about that. But I do like how it's a part of this one big main building. There's also a balcony to the blacksmith shop right here, and it's topped off with the golden frogs. And then there's like this stick with the chain that hangs down and swings. Not sure if this is meant to be anything particular, or it's just like an obstacle that hangs down to play with. I mean, it is fun to move it back and forth, but yeah, I'm not sure the exact purpose. So yeah, if this was an official build to a set, it would definitely feel a little bit incomplete, but I do like a lot of elements here, and I think for an alt build, it's actually quite fun. But now as we move up to the topmost level, you can see there's a really interesting interesting design at the center right here. We've got a red straw hat, a printed dragon symbol, one of the printed banners, as well as the sword of fire hanging down. This entire design is very asymmetrical, however, I feel like it works. This entire building to me feels very messy and all over the place, and this definitely fits that vibe. There's also a random armor piece right here, which just adds to the crazy all over the place shaping. But this is another section that I feel like I translated one-to-one from the instructions, because you can see there's that armor piece right there, and there's that whole messy build in the center with the straw hat and the sword of fire and everything. So yeah, as bizarre as it is, I think it's correct. Something kind of interesting about this build was that red straw hat actually comes from one of the minifigures in this set, not one of the builds. And that's of course one of the villain minifigures in the set, one of the bone demons. So the image actually suggests putting a gold straw hat on him instead. While the red hat definitely fits it better, I think the gold hat's a cool alternate option to have. And I'm definitely going to be keeping him like this in my collection. But yeah, you can see the example image showcases that as well. Looking inside, we have just another empty platform right here. The balcony is very ugly, but I mean, it's fine. Then we have another platform a little bit higher up with another balcony that figures can look off of. And this actually connects to the roof of the blacksmith shop, where you can see again there's that printed dragon symbol and similar roofs to what we saw before. Again, the white pieces on the inside of the roof I don't feel like are perfect, but just based on the pieces I had in the set, I don't know how I could have made them better. We don't get a great look at it in the instructions, but I think what I did is pretty close to correct. But yeah, definitely very gappy, not as good as the roofs in the official build of the set. And then finally coming to the roof at the very top, this is the only roof that looks good in my opinion, because this is done pretty much the exact same way it's done in the official build. But yeah, we have gold studs on all corners, that symbol in the center. A little bit weird that that symbol's so close to the other one. I feel like that's maybe a little bit redundant, but it is a really cool printed part. And then above that, we have probably my favorite part of this build is this little crane at the top right here. You can see it's carrying a bunch of different crates, and it's just so easy to rotate it back and forth or just spin it completely. And yeah, you can imagine this crane's being used to like put together this building. I always love stuff like this in sets. It just feels so creative and fun. And yeah, again, I feel like I captured that one pretty one-to-one. So yeah, there is my full custom building based off the inspiration build in the instructions. I don't think it's 100% perfect, but I think it's pretty darn close, and it was definitely a fun challenge to try to recreate this entire build based off of one image. Personally, I don't think this build is nearly as good as the official builds in this set. However, I like that the option's there. This build just feels very fun to me. Like, it doesn't look the best, it's not very consistent, but it's almost like a dollhouse with all these different rooms and a few different things to do. Not a ton, but I guess you can fill out those interiors if you wanted to. So I know I would have had a lot of fun playing with this as a kid. So if you have the Ninja Brick box or are thinking about getting it, and you want more of a challenge, not just the default builds in this set, I don't know, I think it's kind of fun to build something like this if you want to, because it is at the very least super unique. But of course, as I mentioned earlier in this video, that is not the only custom build I put together. So here's my next custom build, this car for Kai, and this one was rough. I struggled to figure out how to put this one together. I think I got all the major parts correct, but I also know this is definitely not 100% correct, because there's some things that are wrong that I can see from the image that I just cannot figure out how to fix with the pieces in this set. Because here's another look at the one from the instructions. And the biggest thing is this giant blue panel right there. I could not figure out how to fit that in that slot right there. It was just too big. You can see in my custom version it is there, but it's over to the side a little bit, because if I try to move it too close, then it just doesn't really connect at all. But yeah, this build is interesting. It's ugly, it's got so many different colors on it, and I mean, you even see that in the official pictures. I like a few aspects of it, like the use of the blue and the red together is a fun idea, but then there's also a million other colors too. These pieces being used as bumpers for the front I think is kind of smart. Big engine, the center's nice to see, and I like all the exhausts back here. I do love the way these two wheels are spaced out, but I wish they were more consistent on the way they connected. These orange pieces are my own addition just to lock everything in place, and this entire wheel is one stud further back. But yeah, with the parts available in this set, that was my only way to figure out how to do things. But you can see one side has outward slopes and the other side has inward slopes. That part is straight from the image, so it wasn't supposed to be symmetrical anyway. Yeah, I don't love this build, especially my version. I do like these turrets at the front, these stud shooters, they can be rotated up like as one big motion. That's kind of fun the way that's done. I like how there's a fairly big seat for a minifigure to sit, and a little control panel piece right here, but I really don't have much else to say on this car. I mean, it rolls effectively, that's important, but it really is just kind of ugly. Much prefer the official car builds in this set, because yeah, this one was a challenge to build and was not nearly as fun as the main building. And then my final custom build was this little turret right here, and I pretty much got this one-to-one from the instructions. It's only a couple pieces, so it wasn't too tough to emulate. But I have to say, I actually kind of like this one. As like a little side build in the set, this is good. Very creative shaping with the katanas for the bowstrings, and the spear works perfectly as an arrow. If this came in an official set, I wouldn't question it. It's able to be hinged up and down, and in my opinion, it's actually a lot of fun. But there you go, there is my attempt at building some of the inspiration builds from the Creative Ninja Brick box without any instructions. Personally, I think I did a fairly good job. The builds themselves, not amazing, but I think they're fun at least. But what was more fun was trying to put these all together, and if you guys have this set, I would honestly recommend it. Like, if you're not doing anything with the main build in this set, take it apart and try to rebuild it into these without instructions, or some of the other inspiration builds they show off. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, make sure to leave a like on this video if you want to see me try this again with the other inspiration builds from the back of the instructions, or if you want to see me attempt my own custom builds using only this set. If this video gets to 1,000 likes, I will do that in an upcoming video. But as for this one, I think that's about all I have to say, so thanks for watching everybody, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!